All right, so I hope you guys had a good break for the Labor Day weekend and are ready to get back to it. We basically have 3 more weeks in the art section for this class. So what I'm going to try to do is give you all the stuff in the next week or so and post it, and then you can see the due dates for whatever's coming up. There may be a couple of art projects that it takes me a little bit longer to make a video that gives you a demo. What I want to talk about in this installment is the idea of using a 2-prong lesson to integrate art into the classroom. So mainly the most important thing I want you all to get from this class is to realize how important the arts can be and to find a way to bring those into your regular curriculum. I know a lot of students will get art if they go, especially in elementary, most kids go to art class, but we want to use art as a teaching tool in other classes as well, because what that basically does is allows all types of learners find a way to learn. So basically, when you leave my class, I want you to know how you could integrate arts into the classroom. So again, what we're going to talk about basically is the idea of a 2-prong lesson. And that's going to be based on the use of 2 teaks. And the teaks are going to basically be whatever subject matter you're teaching, and another teak to use to bring art in. So you'll have a teak from, say, language arts, which is going to be the example I'm going to give you in a minute, and art. So basically what I want you to know is we're going to be teaching another subject through an art project. So you're going to be combining 2 different subjects, one other one, and always art for my group. And then what you will do is find a way to make an art project to go with the lesson or idea in the other subject. So basically what we're going to do now is just go over the format. I'm going to send you all or post online a digital copy of a lesson plan. Although I don't care if you use the one I send, you can use any lesson plan you want. Just the one I'm sending you is a pretty straightforward one. I do not want a lesson plan that gets overly complicated. Ideally, I would like to see it fit on 1 page, maybe front and back. We don't want to write a dissertation just for a first grade project. So that's one of the things to really take into account, is how precise you can be on how are you setting up the lesson and stuff like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick 2 teaks. I find that coming up with the lesson is a lot easier, because then you can always go and find the list of teaks and pick a teak that supports your lesson. And the beauty of this is that you will basically be able to bring anything you want together into a 2-prong lesson. I want you to show me that you can do it with an art project, but ultimately once you know how to do this, you can find all kinds of creative ways to bring interesting methods into your class to teach through another subject. So what you're going to do is come up with your idea, maybe pick the subject, or maybe you have you know of a piece of art that has to do with a certain subject matter, and you think, hey, maybe there's a way to bring this in. And it's up to you to be as creative as you possibly can. And that's the beauty of this. Once you start to learn how to use a 2-prong lesson, you can be reinvigorated as a teacher in the way that you come up with interesting and creative lessons. So what you will do is have 2 teaks, one from art, one from another subject. You will come up with an idea. You have to have some way of presenting the information, whether you read something or you watch a video or you go on a nature walk. What we're going to talk about in a minute in here is going to be using a book. And then you'll give the presented idea and then transition into making an art project that has to do with that subject. Realize that I expect you to choose a good or proper art project. We don't want to do crafts. We want to make sure that whenever you do bring this art project into the curriculum, that you're actually doing a good art project. What I'm going to do now is basically give you an example, without doing it, of what would be a 2-prong lesson. I don't remember the teaks, but like I said, you can always look up teaks and find a teak that supports what you're doing. I only want 2 teaks, no more, no less. I take off points for not having enough or more than 2. So don't give me 10 teaks to prove how thorough your research was on the teaks. That's just overcomplicating things. I want you to be able to pick two and identify those, because those become your teaching target. Teaks are an amazing thing. They've gotten misconstrued over the years into this rating of teachers or schools, and that then becomes the basis for money, which I think is backwards. Teaks should be a teaching guideline for you to be able to aim at what you're wanting to get across. Realize that teaks are simply a way of you saying, this is what we're learning on this particular lesson. And that is to clarify to you and then to the students, and then to justify it to parents or administrators or a principal, to be able to say, hey, yeah, we're working on art in my classroom, but this is the teak that is addressing the subject, and this is the teak that we're learning from art. And that way you're justified and you have something to aim for. Now the beauty is on teaks, there's a whole range usually. If you come up with a good lesson, you could probably find a whole list of teaks that would work, but we don't want to aim at all of them, because then it just gets confusing for you and for the students. So what you do is you pick the two that you want to aim for and realize that you're going to hit other things probably around it. So some students will get this area, some will get that, but you know that everyone is getting the main teak. So here's an example real quick. I'm just going to explain how this would go. I'm not going to make you do this one. Normally in class we would do this, but I don't want to have to. It won't be the same because you'll already know what we're doing. So basically this is an example for probably about maybe first or second grade. I have it. This is a series of books. Katie is a character in this series of books, and basically what happens is she interacts with famous artists and famous people and has a little experience. And then what you can do is kind of figure out what's the main idea of that and then teach through that idea. So in this book, she goes to a museum. She meets the Mona Lisa. She's a rather precocious and intelligent little girl, and she realizes Mona Lisa seems a little sad. So what she does is starts talking to her. And all of a sudden, Mona Lisa answers her. So what happens is she finds out Mona Lisa has been sad because nobody interacts with her anymore. They just all come and look at her, but nobody actually interacts with her. And it turns out that when Da Vinci was painting her, he did all kinds of things to keep her entertained and amused while he was doing her portrait. So basically what happens is she and Katie go into other paintings, because that's the magic of paintings. Paintings are not just this flat thing you look at. They're this space, this intellectual place that you can actually go into and experience. If you learn how to look at paintings in the right way, you go into those paintings. So basically that's what they do. They go through all of the paintings trying to find a way to make Mona Lisa happy. And as you can probably guess by the end of the book, Mona Lisa is smiling again and Katie is ready to go. And that's kind of the end of it. So what I teach, the lesson I give you on this basically becomes a way of teaching art and language arts. Because pretty much anytime you read a book, you can kind of find a language arts teak that goes with it. But in this lesson, what I always have, how I have it progress is you basically, the first part of the project is on one side of a paper. You use verbal expression, only using words to express happiness, to try to imagine that you're wanting to make the Mona Lisa happy. So how could you use only words to make her happy? And so then what we do is on the other side of the paper, you use only visual elements, art products, art techniques to create an expression to hopefully make the Mona Lisa happy. What you can do is anything as creative as you want, and what it ends up being is some people write a poem, some people write a story, some people just write down happy words, kind of free association thoughts. And then on the art part, some people do an image that kind of tells a story, some people do just a pretty thing that should make an expression of happiness, and some people get really abstract. So the thing that's beautiful about this is you're not only learning how to integrate a lesson, it's also a way to be creative in other areas besides just the art. So this was a good one because, like I said, there's two teaks being used. I don't remember the name of them. I had them years ago. One for language arts, one for art. So that's kind of the way that a two-prong lesson should work. And it's up to you to be as creative as possible. I will assign a due date on that as soon as I get it assignment made in D2L, and I will put that out for 3 weeks. I won't make it due Wednesday of the last week like I normally do in class because we're online anyway. I will push that back and just let it be due the week you move on to music, but we'll talk about that in a couple weeks. So hope this helps give you an idea of how to integrate into your classroom. And if you have any questions, please let me know.